or overall risk of debt distress, all those parameters, the results are that they are very high. And I think this report gives a very true and accurate picture of our situation. But what probably Kenyans need to remember is, how did we get into this? We should remember that in 2014, Kenya was reclassified from a low income to lower middle income economy. The reason why this was done, I think they called it rebasing, was that Kenya would then have the capacity to borrow from international financial markets. But what was not properly explained to Kenyans was that the opposite of that would be that we would lose access to other interest-free loans and grants, like what Honorable Ndindi was describing, certain World Bank or Bretton Woods support system. And the net effect of this is that we have begun to borrow from commercial markets, which are more expensive than like with the Eurobond, which we were not even able, the first Eurobond we were not even able to pay. We then refinanced it and borrowed more. And we are now in that famous cycle of African countries who have gone to Eurobond style of always refinancing and recycling that debt. Concessional loans, such as the ones you get from IMF and the World Bank and other multilaterals, would, as Honorable Ndindi has correctly said, would average about 3% interest rate plus service charge and capacity, whatever it is. But commercial loans are anywhere between 8 and 12%. Actually, because of this rebasing, because of this reclassification of Kenya from lower income to lower middle income economy, our debt to GDP ratio rose from 2011, it was at 36%.
To 68% in 2025. And in 2021, we actually entered into an IMF program to deal with our debt vulnerabilities. So, Honorable Speaker, I think we need a conversation on this issue. Because even the money that was borrowed from the commercial markets to finance the infrastructure, the investments did not yield the economic output that we expected, either in terms of economic performance or better export performance. And the question now that we need to ask ourselves, must we really insist we are a lower middle income economy, or should we just accept that we are a lower income economy and continue to have access to cheaper loans? Honorable Speaker, there are other issues that we need to talk about when we discuss Kenya's debt problems. One is overpricing and corruption of our projects. The securitization, if you look at the Talanta Stadium, when we did an analysis on it, the financing mechanism, 6 billion, we figured out as a committee of sports that there would be 6 billion excess payment. Bomas of Kenya, there's no transparency there. Nobody knows how that is being financed. There's excessive expenditure. We have been told as recent as last week by the Auditor General that State House spent 2.7 billion in excess of its budget. And Honorable Speaker, unless we do all these things, we deal with corruption, we deal with efficiency, we deal with waste, nothing will change in our debt management. Finally, let me just make a proposal as a way forward. I think it is time to amend the CBK Act to allow subscription to government bonds electronically and in small denominations, just the way we use M-Pesa platform now to buy shares. We should democratize the ownership of borrowing.
The Honorable Mandetto. Mandetto.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to...
It's very interesting to... This is very academic, and I think for the benefit of the chair, it's clearly academic, but very, very interesting also, because the U.S. only borrows 3% of its all. I want Ndindi Nyoro to hear this. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, the U.S. only borrows 3% of its own total debt, which is 36 trillion US dollars. And they only borrow 1.2 from Japan. And over 80% of the borrowing of the US government is domestic. And well, we will respond at a later moment, because Vendetto is on there. I want everybody to hear this here. Because I'm trying to see if there's a parallel. If you borrow domestically, it's bad, or if you borrow externally. In both cases, there are success stories of both.
But anyway, continue, Wandeto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the interesting discourse that you brought to the House. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support this medium debt strategy, and the people of Balambala should go to bed tonight very proud of their Member of Parliament. They sent a good brain to this House. Mr. Speaker, a number of the issues I would have wished to raise have been raised, and so I'll just gloss over them quickly and maybe just propose one or two bills into this report, even as it goes to the next stage. Mr. Speaker, as it has been rightly pointed out, I think one concern coming out of this report is the proposal to peg our domestic borrowing to about 82%. Knowing, Mr. Speaker, very well that the SME sector is the biggest driver of job creation and economic growth in this country, anything that may undermine access to credit for small businesses and even for households, Mr. Speaker, is going to have a detrimental effect. I think we are basically proposing to perpetuate the level of profitability that we have seen in banks. Even the poorly run banks in this country, Mr. Speaker, all of them make profits, because most of the bank CEOs don't have proper day jobs. All you need to do is to wait for the Friday auction of the CBK paper, bid, and you'll make profits because there is a ready customer called the government. Mr. Speaker, the second issue is securitization of revenues, because again, this has to be properly be classified as debt. And I know this is the new mode of financing that we are advocating for in this country, but it is very, very important that all future revenues that have been securitized, we basically recognize that, as public debt. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is pending bills. If you look at pending bills, in my opinion, and I probably I don't have the proper statistics, they must be the third biggest source of government revenue after taxes and borrowing. The third one must be SME financing in the name of public debt. And Mr. Speaker, it's important that maybe in this country we come up with a policy that any pending bill above 180 days, or whatever days we can think about, officially be classified as a public debt. The other one is, Mr. Speaker, is public-private partnerships, which again have become very, very common in this country. And it looks like the Kenya Kwanza government, that is the route that they're advocating. But almost all these PPPs carry a contingent liability. For example, Mr. Speaker, we have this expressway. If it doesn't meet its revenue targets, or if something goes wrong, there is a contingent liability that hangs around the people of Kenya that they would have to pay for it. So this also needs to be classified together with the rest of the public debt. Even the upcoming